Okay, so we're going to talk about technology for productivity, the assessment tracking, which you asked me about earlier. And let me go over and call some of that up. It'll be easier if I work from here. So we have tests that we do, and we have a tracking system called Data Director. There are millions of these out there, I'm sure, that are available. We're probably switching to a new one because of limitations with this. I'm not going to tell you which is good. I don't know. But most districts have this. If your district doesn't, it's something they need to think about. It has both the state assessments over in it. You can see here. It has some demographic data. And then it'll also give some more information, like where were they over in the clusters on the various CST tests. So you can see, whoa, reading comp, really low. Strangely enough, he does better on literary response and analysis. Interesting. And if he did low, like over on word analysis, but was great at these two, you'd sort of wonder. The kid's having decoding problems, right? But if it was a second grade test, something that's read to him, maybe he gets it, but he just can't decode really well. Those are the sort of things you can look at. It also has on ours their US school entry date, so we can go over and see. Yeah, he's at the beginning level. Oh, he arrived just under 2 years ago. He's still in the silent phase. This is okay, but we need to watch how it's going, okay? Or this kid's been here since kindergarten, they're in 6th grade, and they aren't making progress on their SELF scores. That's the English levels. Then we really need to go over and look at this, because his other peers, they're exiting. They're getting redesignated, and this kid isn't. And that's a very touchy issue, and I'll give you some links over to some writing about that, about doing the identification on the language learners. For a number of years, they were like IQ testing them in English and slapping them with the label MR, saying they were mentally retarded and putting them over in special ed. Now, they'll give them time, they just need time, and the kid has an underlying learning disability, and you gave them too much time, and now they're semi-literate. So you need to look at things like, the questions I ask are they progressing like their peers that entered the US at the same time and entered US school at the same time? Ask their parents or somebody who speaks their home language, are they losing their ability in their home language? Are they very low in that as well? If that's happening, that's a sign that not only are they not learning English, they're losing their home language, they are losing language. That's a sign of something that's not quite right. And then just kind of, do they have discrepancies in parts of their scores on SELF, like oral versus written? And then we also have these tests that we give, which are called benchmarks, which are standards aligned. They're given 3 times a year. And so what I did was I told the program specialist, look, can I just print this out and include it over in our SST file and not have the teachers write it out or type it in, because that's just duplicated. She's like, sure, go ahead. I'm like, yes. So I could tell the teachers, you know what? Don't bother filling that in, I'll print it out for you. Easy like that. I want you to concentrate on value-added data. What data can you bring to this that will add value, and not copy what's available electronically? And to where you can, you need to do it, because a lot of these systems are out there now in the districts. Use them. Don't have them typing out something that can be printed off the student record, because you're wasting everybody's time that way. Okay, communication. Ah, there it is. How many people have a school nurse? We have a school nurse 1 day a week. The only thing she does is special ed testing. We don't even see her at the SST meetings at all. Yeah, that's all she does. And she'll, yeah. So what I do is, if we have a concern about a kid, health-wise, I send her all of our SST notes so that she can look through them and see if something may come up, because a lot of those kids eventually she will have to see if they get tested for special education services. So this is a dummy one. Don't worry, I made up a kid's name. I say, we got Jean. He's new to us. We don't have a Cume record. His teacher thinks he may have a hearing problem. Can you do a quick screen on him? And she says, sure. But do you know, does his family speak English? And she really went all out on doing this made up kid scenario. Asked me if I could go over and get her a phone number too. Cheeky she is. But it's invaluable for staying in touch with her. And also, I send out the notes, I send out copies of the notes, which I take in a Word document, to both of our administrators, to the teachers, so that they, because you're sitting in a meeting, can you remember everything that was said? I can't, it's at 7 in the morning, I can't even remember what I typed out. So this is a way for them to look at it later and see, okay, that's what I agreed to do as an intervention. Let me show you what they look like. It's a simple thing, it's a stupid thing, but some districts or schools still don't do this. What we do is type them on Word, and I put them up over on a projector. How many people are at schools where they're still handwriting and maybe putting it on an overhead? Ooh. How many people are at places where somebody's taking notes electronically? And this is mostly the classroom teachers back here, right? I'm glad. Makes it much better. Because if you don't have them on there electronically, you lose track of what's going on. People forget, people lose copies, the copies don't get to them. So we see Juan. And I'm just going to point out a couple of pertinent things for those of you who aren't doing it yet. When you're doing the expected outcomes, in my district, and I think in most districts, they really want you to have something that's standards-based and metricized. So this one's saying he's going to do multisyllabic words and special spelling sight words, which is reading 1.3 at 80% of grade level. And then this kid has some bereavement issues, so we're also doing some counseling. And then there's some concern about his attention, so we may do we're trying to talk to the parent about doing an ADHD screen. And in this scenario, I made it significant, but the doctor doesn't want to do ADHD diagnosis, so we're going to have the nurse talk to the doctor's office and bring him to Jesus about it. Because and occasionally we run across that. We have Medi-Cal doctors doing, their survey. They're very busy. They've got a high load. Sometimes we run across a pediatrician who says, you know what, I'm not going to go over and do ADHD meds. I don't feel like I'm comfortable doing that. He needs to see a psychiatrist. Well, what do you think the odds are of a Medi-Cal kid? How quickly do you think they'll be able to see a psychiatrist?
Next year.
Yeah, thank you. You know my pain. And so you'll see a lot of these are metricized, approved time on task from 50 to 75%. So I'll ask the teacher, I'll say, how often is the child on task? How often are they off task? 50% of the time, 75, 90% of the time, sometimes we hear, you have those 90% kids off task? Yes. So we'll say, well, improve it from, we'll do it as a positive, from 10% on time to 25%. Ask, is that reasonable? Do you think we can meet that goal? I have teachers sometimes want to ratchet it down, sometimes want to ratchet it up. It just varies. You guys can give me the hurry up if this is too slow. Yes. Okay, let's get through this. And I showed you the documentation. And then sending out stuff is just really important. Okay, where am I now? What folks say. Let's go over and get to that. It hurts. Okay. It really helps seeing the data in front of me. And this is from the nurse. She finds that when she's over at schools where they do not give electronic copies of the notes, she doesn't get them. Is that a problem? That's a big problem.